how Florida came up with this history task force and this history curriculum is very troubling. You can see why Ron DeSantis wanted to take out DEI, because he wanted to make sure that they were crafting history how they see fit and to whitewash everything. So they did originally have a task force that had black people, black women on it, but then Ron DeSantis swooped in and appointed new people into these positions. 5 of the 6 new appointees are either directly affiliated with the Republican Party or have been previously appointed to positions by Governor DeSantis. The sixth, a state representative, Kimberly Daniels, is facing renewed criticism over comments she made during a sermon back in 2008. Y'all got to see this. I thank God for slavery. I thank God for the crack house. If it weren't for the crack house, God wouldn't have never been able to use me how he used me. And if it wasn't for slavery, I might be somewhere in Africa worshiping a tree. She said this. This is Kimberly Daniels, a black woman. Daniels previously defended her statements in an interview with Action News during her run for office in 2011. If slavery wouldn't have happened, it would have been an awful thing. I wouldn't be living in the greatest country in the land today. So this is another one of Ron DeSantis's appointees. Understand why this curriculum looks the way it does. So, just to let y'all know though, most of the working group did not agree with the controversial parts of the Black History curriculum. But because this task force was handpicked, there was a fear of retaliation. Okay, so this article says a majority of the members of the Florida work group that developed the new standards for teaching of African American history oppose the sections that have recently drawn criticism, including that middle schoolers be instructed that enslaved people develop skills and that could be used for their personal benefit. 3 members of the work group said. The members who requested anonymity out of fear of reprisal told NBC News that the majority did not want to include that change or the requirement that high school students be taught about violence perpetuated by African Americans when learning about these massacres that happened in the United States. Most of us didn't want that language, adding that 2 of the 13 members of the group pushed to include those specific items. 2 of the 13 members. The standards created by the work group went on to be unanimously approved on July 19th by the Florida Board of Education. So the task force was a farce. So task farce.
Jack's Jake Stofan spoke with State Senator Geraldine Thompson today.
Well, State Senator Geraldine Thompson says the Department of Education circumvented the task force's role in crafting new African American history standards by creating a separate group to do the work. Florida's new African American history standards have put the state in the national crosshairs, even spurring a visit from Vice President Kamala Harris, who criticized the inclusion of instruction on, quote, how slaves developed skills, which in some instances could be applied for their personal benefit.
Pushing propaganda on our children.
Now, State Senator Geraldine Thompson, an emeritus member of the state's African American History Task Force, says the group was largely cut out of the development of the new standards, despite state law providing for its input.
This is exactly the kind of thing that the task force was supposed to do.
Instead, the development of the standards was delegated to an African American History Standards Work Group. It was comprised of 13 members, 3 appointed by the task force, and 10 which were selected by the Department of Education.
10 to 3, that's a major hurdle.
Dr. William Allen, one of the work group members, recently defended the state's new standards on Fox News.
The accomplishments of black people post-slavery were the accomplishments not just of black Americans, but the accomplishments of American principles.
Thompson says the defense doesn't resonate with her.
Because I think overriding all of that was the trauma to enslaved people.
The Commissioner of Education told Action News Jax last week the task force Thompson sits on will continue to meet and could suggest changes to the standards moving forward.
I intend to voice my opposition or my support if I feel that there are things that can be supported.
Now, Thompson also pointed out 6 of the 9 voting members on the state's African American History Task Force were just appointed by the Florida Commissioner of Education back in May, shifting the power in favor of Republicans on that body. For local coverage you can count on the South Bank, I'm Jake Stofan, Action News Jax.